Hello everyone, and welcome to Lito's World. I'm Lito. I'm a singer and songwriter, producer and dancer who has been singing since the age of 5. I started singing in church all my childhood and then continued to sing in high school. I sang in concert choir, senior quartet, a community-based choir by the name of Camarada Choir, which did local community events, as well as sung the Star Spangled Banner at my graduation. I then worked as a tech actor at the world-renowned Sight and Sound Theater during their first production of Daniel, where I had minor singing roles and acting roles, and also fight scenes, and served as a stage technician. I then recorded 3 studio demos and started to sing with a community-based organization for children by the name of Dreams, which led me to being recruited for Harrisburg's R&B open mic, The Singers Lounge, which I am now alumni to. After that, I recorded 44 professional studio songs, which are currently being streamed on all digital platforms worldwide. I also recorded a professional music video then, as well as negotiated a spot on our Central Pennsylvania Good Day PA morning news segment called Studio Sessions, in which I sang and promoted one of my projects. I then got into Full Sail's Recording Arts program, and that's the reason why I'm here speaking to you today. So, without further ado, recently, at Full Sail University, I was tasked with performing an industry case study in my Project and Portfolio 2 class. An industry case study of my 2 dream jobs that I would like to have upon graduating in the recording arts field, which is my field of study at Full Sail University. With that said, I would like to let you in on the fact that this has always been a part of my vision and dream. It has always been, since a child, the dream has been the same. And part of the puzzle, if you will, was to be an audio engineer. I was blessed with the ability to co-produce some of those 44 tracks, and it led me here to now starting to compose, arrange, play the guitar, and learn more and more about production and becoming a music producer. The 2 dream jobs that I have chosen are a producer and a songwriter for major record labels. Why these 2, you might ask? I'll tell you. When I was a child, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, it was dangerous to go outside. And a lot of the time, I was just left with books and television. And at that time, it was the beginning of the music television movement and the start of channels like The Box, MTV, and VH1. And I fell in love with secular music, being a young Pentecostal church boy. It was new to me, namely R&B and hip hop and Latin soul, as well as freestyle and pop. I saw producers like Babyface and Sean Puffy Combs, JERMAINE DUPRI, and the great Clive Davis himself help create artists' careers as they steered and guided them and were in charge or at least major contributors on the writing of their projects. as well as most other decisions in their music image. I have wanted nothing more for my life and have been on this career path ever since. I'm super excited to currently be doing this, actually learning how to do all of this at Full Sail University. And I'm grateful for the institution and for the opportunity at the institution, to both God and the institution. And I'm pretty much living my wildest dreams. I very much intend on giving back to the community and serving as an advocate and doing activism and charities. And I'm super excited to use my talent to not only, and giftings in Christ, to not only help heal the world, if you will, but to give back. What do producers do? Well, I'll tell you. Producers are in charge of an individual production, responsible for all personnel working on the production, and for coordinating technical and non-technical production elements, and they often double as writer or director. Ultimately, I see myself working for a major record label, doing both, as that said, producing and doubling as the writer and director. Not only do I want to do that for a major record label as a salary position, but I also want the freedom and ability to be able to do it for multiple record labels, independent labels, individual prominent artists, even the in-betweens and starting artists, if you will, and develop talent. And I see myself traveling the world doing so. What is the required skill set for a producer? This position would require high attention to detail, an ability to work well under pressure, as well as the ability to multitask and be timely. Also, as this is a position of leadership, it would require the ability to lead, manage, coach, and train. In all of this, it would also entail a high sense of excellent customer service, effective communication, and great sense of respect of others, as well as keeping and minding their safety in the forefront. The average salary for a producer in the United States ranges in between $100,000 to $300,000, with almost no ceiling, depending on who you are, what reputation you have built for yourself, and how much in demand you are. What does the day of a producer look like? What are its drawbacks? I'll tell you. The days would vary depending on the client and project for this position. However, they would all entail being in a production environment. The drawbacks to this position would be that you would often be working long days as well as late hours. Also, you would be the person responsible that would have to answer to everything. So in essence, I want to be able to kind of call the shots on projects ultimately. Write for artists, write the songs, kind of create a cohesion of project and theme, even tailor the artist images, and work on things like branding and image and such. I desire to not only write the songs, but be involved in the ins and outs of the studio sessions, choosing what instrumentation should or shouldn't go with the song, and making executive decisions in the matter. Which leads me to the next job, which is being a songwriter, which I kind of want to double for, as I said. But let's just say that I ended up, or in conjunction, was also a songwriter for major record labels, which really is my ultimate dream as well. Songwriters for major record labels are independent contractors offering writing services on a per-song basis for record labels and individual artists. This includes co-writing for artists that just need help with writing, and also writing remotely and handing off the songs at price. So, what is the required skill set for a record label writer, you might ask? I'll tell you. The education for this position would be at least a bachelor's in arts or in science, including the commensurate experience in writing in the industry or related industries. This position would also, just like the producer position, require a high attention to detail, an ability to work well under pressure, as well as the ability to multitask and be timely. Also, as this is a position of leadership, it would require the ability to lead, manage, coach, and train. In all of this, it would also entail a high sense of excellent customer service, effective communication, and a great sense of respect for others, as well as keeping in minding their safety in the forefront. What and how does a major record label songwriter get paid? I'll tell you. This is an invoice position, per song at a standard rate of $250,000 a song, fluctuating depending on experience and demand. At first, new writers may have to lower that standard for their first few song sales to anywhere between $100,000 to $250,000. This process, even with experienced sought-after songwriters, oftentimes does include a series of negotiations. What does the day of a major record label songwriter look like? What are its drawbacks? I'll tell you. The day of a songwriter, when hired, consists of traveling to the record label location and working with the producers at the record label location, or writing the song or songs he or she was hired to write remotely and handing them off for approval to the record label as they are passed down to the production staff. The drawbacks of said position are that you would have to purchase your own benefits, and that there is no paid time off, as well as that it is competitive and that these positions are few and far between. Which leads me to the question, dum-da-dum-dum. Will I have the necessary experience to do these positions upon graduation? Why, yes, I will. I will have the necessary skills and experience to match by the time I graduate with my bachelor's in science and audio engineering at Full Sail University. And I also have the experience. After high school, I took a series of customer service positions leading up to the Tier 3 research in a credit card company, as well as an escalated customer service representative in a service industry company position. I then joined the Navy, where I was a personnel man, which is the equivalent to human resources in the civilian world, in which I trained reservists physically, as well as was in charge of all their paperwork and kept track of them fulfilling all their further qualifications and training while in the reserves. This also included entering their pay and coordinating all the details of their 1 month a year temporary active duty. Then I moved on to becoming sole administrator at various nonprofit agencies, ultimately leading to entry-level management as well as assistant management positions in the restaurant and retail fields. On top of the 20 years work experience I have in various industries, which give me seasoned qualifications of all the skills required for this position in the aforementioned, I also have a bachelor's in business management from Kaiser University, as well as experience in the recording studio as an indie artist, having put in countless hours from the age of 16 to 40 in the studio thus far. In addition to these facts, I have written hundreds of songs, most of which remain cataloged and ready for use for said artists. Lastly, as I am an indie artist myself, I have tangible proof of said fact in my own recordings, totaling up to 44 professional recordings, as I said earlier, which have all been released and are currently being streamed worldwide, in which I have written all of them lyrically, as well as come up with all their original melodies, including co-producing a large amount of them. What am I willing to do to get there, you might ask? I'll tell you. On my way there, I will earn my stripes and pay my dues by working my way up in production, by assisting the engineer and working as an engineer at a subsidiary or independent record label before I work for one of the majors. As far as writing is concerned, I'm willing to write for artists that are just beginning their careers, as well as artists who are more on a mid-level tier of recognition and success at first, negotiating price to be more reasonable. Who inspired me to do this, you might ask? I'll tell you. My biggest inspirations in doing this have been, in production, JERMAINE, DUPRI, and Neo, and in songwriting, KANDI, BURRUSS, and Lisa Left Eye Lopez. JERMAINE DUPRI. JERMAINE DUPRI is my biggest inspiration in production, and I have been watching him establish, cultivate, mold, and shape young artists for decades since I was a child, which is what his workday consists of, with rappers and singers alike, giving them an image, writing their songs, and more. This is what I want to do. Not only is my biggest dream on top of those 2 jobs to be under his tutelage work-wise as a producer, but he is also my first and really only choice if I were able to choose whatever producer I wanted to work with for my indie artist self, Lito. He is responsible for creating acts like Jagged Edge, Usher, and is Mariah Carey's main producer, as well as Janet Jackson's. And he is the founder of Def Jam's So So Def, who I want to work for one day. It is one of my biggest dreams to work with Jermaine Dupri, and I have been watching him mold and shape artists since Usher's start, since Crisscross with Crisscross Can Make You Jump, Jump. And I'm super excited to have him as a producer and to learn from him one day. And hopefully, God will give me the desires of my heart in doing this. Really, I couldn't imagine the epitome of reaching the height in my music artistry to be able to say that I worked with Jermaine Dupri in the studio. As you can see, it excites me. Which leads me to Ne-Yo. Ne-Yo got his big break at the age of 24 in 2006 when he got the chance to write in Miami with two other songwriters on a track for R&B artist Mario. Since then, he has written for many big acts, including Beyonce, and has a lucrative solo career and writes for almost every prominent R&B artist in the business. He also has a record label that employs a handful of other young songwriters / producers which he mentors, which is what his typical workday consists of. His record label is a subsidiary of Jermaine Dupri's So So Def, who is the producer who recorded and produced his first solo artist album. Pretty much. I don't exactly think I did this on purpose, but that's probably the best example as to who I'm turning out to be in the music industry. Kind of like a Renaissance man, if you will. Someone who does it all. I identified at a pretty early age that the music industry was going to a place where they wanted the full package. Someone who can do it all. An artist who was already branded, and an artist who had a following, fan base, who could sing, dance, perform, write, and even produce and play, which is what I've last added. And what perfect example of all those things in current day than Ne-Yo, who writes for everyone and can sing, play, dance, and does it all. So, this is definitely someone that I'm modeling after, and I hope to one day work with him as well. Which leads me to KANDI BURRUSS. KANDI got her start as a songwriter in the 90s on writing credits for her group's own songs Escape, which was produced by Jermaine Dupri as well, which he also wrote for her. She then got her big break as a writer when she wrote No Scrubs for TLC with her bandmate Tiny, T.I.'s wife. After that, she continued to write for many big acts and still does until this day, and has written many hit records for prominent artists in the R&B and pop genres. Her day consists of writing for these acts, among other endeavors, like reality TV, owning various restaurants, and managing her own solo artist career. Over the years, I've more than enjoyed seeing KANDI grow in her career. Super motivating and inspirational. Not only is she the epitome of a fighter and a person that sets a goal and succeeds at it, but she also is very well known for her humility and for how much of a good person she is, which is someone that I emulate, desire to emulate, and greatly try to model myself after. I grew up listening to Escape, know all those songs. And I must say, I am a Housewives of Atlanta fan. And I do watch her on that too. Seeing her be boss and owning all those restaurants and be superwoman and be a great mother, a great friend, and more, and call the shots on her own solo career is more than inspirational and motivational. And I thank her for her contribution to our industry. Which leads me to a little story I'd like to tell you called The Reason Why I Sing. At the age of 13, after having started to sing in Pentecostal church since the age of 5, and only being allowed to do so, sing in church I mean, and not secularly in the world, I fell in love with R&B and hip-hop and R&B. When VH1 and MTV came out, among the first acts to grace their stage were Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, and TLC. I had saved up my allowance and bought a Discman and 3 bootleg CDs from a table outside my project building in Brooklyn, New York, while supposed to be on the way to the bodega/corner store to buy candy for myself and comic books, while bringing back vegetables/produce and fresh bread at my grandmother, who has since passed, request, who raised me, for the whole family to share. Those albums were Aaliyah's 1 in a Million, Mary J. Blige's My Life, and TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool, which I hid under my mattress and only listened to after everyone was asleep through my headphones, as I was not allowed to listen to secular music and it was taboo. It was during this time that I started to struggle with issues of identity, began to rebel from my parents as far as going to church 5 days a week and even more some weeks, and not being able to have worldly friends or influences was concerned, and began experimenting with drugs. While trying to process my feelings on all of this, it was then that I discovered a young lady by the name of Lisa Left Eye Lopez, my biggest inspiration in music to date. Her freedom to be herself, advocacy for safe sex campaign, and depth in the lyrical content, in her lyrical content, was unparalleled to anything I had ever heard of, and literally eased and soothed my pain on many a tear-filled and sleepless night. It was then that I began to dream. I dreamed of one day being able to be so free. I dreamed of one day being able to use my talent and singing abilities to help heal others too, and soothe other people's pain, just like she did. Just like she did for me. When I noticed that she wrote all her raps on the album, as well as a good number of the songs, it inspired me to start songwriting. From that day on, I've never stopped. That album's clarity and depth, as well as eerie, sultry sound, gave me something that, to this day, I cannot even put in words. It enchanted me, rendering me speechless. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was seen. I was seen through her music, and she gave me the hope that everything just might be okay. Coupled with me writing a fictional story of my best friend dying of cancer and having my 7th grade English teacher running to me, literally crying, asking me if it were true, encouraging me for the first time in my life, saying that I had a gift, and entering me into Hunter College's New York City essay writing contest, which I came in 2nd place in, I was well on my way. I had found my calling and began gathering beats and writing over top of popular beats to a boombox, and was determined to do the same thing that Lisa Left Eye Lopez had done, and harness the miraculous healing power of music to help people feel, heal, and deal. And, or to just simply know that there is someone out there who has been through or is currently going through the same, potentially ending their depression, stopping them from committing suicide, and helping them cope with bullying, which I was going through and having a rough time with at the time. So, basically, I was a pretty shy and awkward child. I was in the books a lot. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and so it's a rough environment. So while all these kids are trying to be cool and like wearing certain things and acting certain ways and even gang affiliated, I was a church boy. I dressed like a church boy. I acted like a church boy. I looked like a church boy. And so it was pretty rough for me. I was bullied. I also was bullied for other things, and it was a rough time. So when I had these moments where I fell in love with these genres of music and I was introduced to these artists and had something to myself kind of hidden, it gave me something to be hopeful for and a dream. I've never let go of that dream since. And I intend to inspire kids all over the world to do the same and can't wait to do so. I've already listed out the major contributors and inspirations to my dreams, and amongst many other classic singers and producers and writers and others in the music industries, including executives like Clive Davis, which I intend to climb up to be almost like. I see myself developing talent in my late years, and I'm super excited to be here with you all and doing this all. And I can't wait to grow as an artist and as a person in this process. And with that, we have Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Lisa got her start writing for TLC's debut album, Crazy Sexy Cool, before Crazy Sexy Cool, with Ain't Too Proud to Beg. Her work days consisted of writing for her own group and huge acts like Donnell Jones, NSYNC, Girl Group Black, Keith Sweat, Tyrese, and many, many more. She died while recording her first solo album, a project which has never been released. She was determined to be something in life. A quote from Atlanta rapper JERMAINE DUPRI told MTV in 2002. She was a true rock star. She didn't care about any press. She was the one that would curse on TV. She had tattoos. You could expect the unexpected. When you see Lisa, you could expect something from her. That's the gift that she carried. Lisa Left Eye Lopez's freedom to be herself gave me the courage to have the freedom to be myself. I know that that's so important and detrimental in our future, which is our children. And I hope to one day be able to help instill that in our children, to be able to be themselves proudly and go for their dreams and know that the sky's the limit. One of Lisa Left Eye Lopez's more famous quotes reads as such: "Energy never dies. It just transforms. I don't care what people say about death. It doesn't matter." Lisa Left Eye Lopez, MTV, 2002. So with that, here are some citations on my project, just in case you'd like to look up some of these fun facts. And it's really been a pleasure presenting for you all. And I hope to see you all at my concerts one day and hearing the music that I produce. And I thank you all for listening. God bless you.